Welcome everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the regular meeting of the board for September 19th, 2023. I'd first like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional land of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which is represented by the communities of Saugeen First Nation and Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation. We also think of the Métis Nation of Ontario, whose history and people are well represented in Bruce and Grey counties. We have no regrets this evening, and we have Trustee Newts joining us virtually. This is our first regular meeting of the school year, and it's an exciting time with the swearing in of our new student senators and student trustees. We look forward to you joining us tonight. It is also a chance as trustees to formally express our appreciation to all the staff in Blue Water District School Board who have worked hard over the past several weeks and months preparing for our school year startup. From the capital work, technology upgrades, and summer learning programs during July and August, to registration, data updates, bus schedules, facility cleaning and maintenance, program planning, budgets, and current payroll. Startup is a monumental task, yet somehow our staff magically make it happen in a smooth fashion every year, which goes a long way in reducing and minimizing stress for our new and returning students and families. As we enter the third week of school, it is my hope that everyone in our board is settling into and enjoying their new routines, classes, and portfolios. Many clubs, sports, and programs are also getting back up and running as part of the September excitement. For this evening's moment of reflection, I ask you to please join me in acknowledging all the staff at our schools and centrally who were instrumental in a successful September startup for our students and families. We also take this opportunity to wish everyone in our Blue Water school community the very best in 2023-2024. So it starts with our exciting event of the evening, and I would like to invite Superintendent Lefebvre to lead the declaration of our student trustees and senators.
Thank you.
I, Mason Robinson, do solemnly declare that in response to my appointment as student representative of the Blue Water District School Board, I will truly, faithfully, impartially, and to the best of my abilities execute the office of student senator, and I will endeavor to represent the interests of students in the Blue Water District School Board in a forthright and objective fashion, and will participate to the best of my abilities in discussion and debate on all relative matters. And I make this solemn declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and know that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Thank you so much. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to introduce yourselves to us, what school you're from, and your names.
Hi guys, sure. I'm Samantha Oshrider, and I'm from Washington District.
I'm Ethan Evans. I'm from Dundee from Baker Senior School.
My name is Bonnie Paul-Bentley, and I'm from Georgian Bay Community School. I'm Mackenzie Rock, and I'm from Bruce Peninsula District School.
I'm Carter Snowblin, and I'm from Kincardine District Senior School.
I'm Tanis Eby, and I'm from Peninsula Shores District School.
I'm Macy Robinson, and I'm from Owen Sound District Secondary School.
I'm Trinity Beechin, and I'm from Gay Highland Secondary School.
I'm Bree Dales, and I'm from Peninsula Shores District School.
I'm Lexi Ritchie, and I'm from Saugeen District Senior School.
And I'm also going to put the trustees and superintendents on the spot to introduce themselves so that you put a face to a name. And maybe we'll start with Trustee Long.
Derek Long.
trustee for Walkerton and South Bruce, which is Hillcrest Central School, Mildmay, Carrick, and Walkerton District.
Marilyn McComb, and I'm the trustee for Georgian Bluffs in the Township of Chatford.
Fran Morgan, and I'm the trustee for Mayford and the town of Blumen.
You know what? I actually talk pretty loud, so I think I'll just until I can figure it out. Okay, I'm Rochelle Ritchie. I'm the trustee for Soggy First Station and Nashing.
I'm Jane Thompson, and I'm the trustee for the Northern Bruce Peninsula and the town of South Bruce Peninsula.
Okay, hi, I'm Jan Johnstone, and I represent the municipality of Kincardine and the township of Carrick-Kinloss.
Hi everyone, I'm Tracy Lynn Atkinson, and I represent the municipality of West Gray and the town of Hanover.
Hi, I'm Michael Craig. I'm the trustee for Owen Sound, OSDSS, among others.
Hi, my name is Janice Kakonen, and I represent 7 schools in Grey Highlands and Southgate Township.
Trustee Lutz.
I'm Katie Lutz, and I represent Soggy, Shores, and Aaron Thursday.
Good evening, my name is Wendy Cumming, and I'm here representing the Association of Blue Water Administrators, so principals and vice principals.
Good evening, everyone. Melissa McEwen, Superintendent of Education, with responsibilities in the area of human resources.
I'm Wendy Lowers, Superintendent of Education, and I'm responsible for program. And my schools in my area include John Deacon Baker Senior School, Kincardine District Senior School, and Rockland District Community School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maureen Lipset, and I'm Superintendent of Education, responsibilities for student support, which is special education and mental health and well-being. And I have responsibility for Owen Sound District Secondary School and Grey Highlands Secondary School.
Good evening, everybody, and congratulations on your swearing in. My name is Rob Cummings. I'm the Supervisory Business Officer, and you're all my schools.
Bev Simmons, Director's Assistant, Manager of Corporate Services.
Lori Wilder, Director of Education, and we're thrilled to have all of our students here. So thanks very much for putting your name forward. We appreciate you.
At this time, I'd like to invite our student trustees, Ethan Enns and Macy Robinson, to join us at the table. I believe on behalf of everyone here, we welcome you to your positions for this year. We hope that you find it a really rewarding experience. And please ask questions of any of us if you are wondering about something. I know Superintendent Lefebvre would be more than pleased, but the trustees also would be pleased to answer questions. That takes us to the approval of the agenda. That the agenda for the regular meeting of the board of September 19th, 2023 be approved as printed. Trustee Long, seconded by Trustee McComb. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on any of the items on our agenda this evening? I see none. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. First, the minutes of the regular meeting of the board of June 20th, 2023 be approved as printed. Could I have a mover? Trustee Morgan, seconded Trustee Craig. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Board meeting of September 5th, 2023 be approved as printed. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Atkinson. Trustee Craig. Any errors or omissions on those? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? We are to our excellence in education, and I would like to invite Superintendent Lefebvre to speak to this report. First, I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder that the Blue Water District School Board received the Excellence in Education Entrepreneurship Project Wake Up Call Saugeen District Senior School Report for Information. Trustee McComb and Trustee Long, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair, trustees, the public, and our newly sworn in Senate. One of my favorite times in the week and the month for me as a superintendent is my school visits. And school visits are special because I get to see what's happening in the classrooms, I get to talk to the students, and I get to see what is happening on the ground. And I ask my executive assistant to always schedule my visits to Saugeen District Senior School on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the reason is because the wake-up call is part of my Tuesday and Thursday routine, or the routine at Saugeen. This is an amazing group of young people, young entrepreneurs who have really taken service to the next level. I know that you were able to experience that already tonight, and I know the students were able to experience that, and they were actually blown away by just how professional this group was. To tell you a little bit more about this and to introduce the people behind this is Kim Harbinson, the Learning Service Administrator with Student Success. Kim?
Good evening, Chair Thompson and fellow trustees. I was very excited last year in my role as Pathways Administrator to come across funding from the ministry about an entrepreneurship pilot project that was being offered across the province, and was quick to jump on this. I've been a participant in a national Aboriginal competition, and I've been a former business teacher as well as an entrepreneur myself. So I know all of the transferable skills that come along with this. Then we reached out to the district, and we were fortunate to have a couple of schools be interested in this pilot project. One of them I met with Charlotte McFarland, their principal at Saugeen, and we talked about how we could incorporate some of this funding to support an already existing business in their school. And we worked together most of the year, communication between the teachers, Charlotte and myself, and were able to continue the community partnership that was part of the pilot project. And also they were invited in June for a youth venture project where Minister of Education was involved. And so all of these people in front of you have met him online and had conversations with entrepreneurs across the province to give some really good advice and some skills that they would need to further their education in the entrepreneurship field. So I have Kate Hagan and Catherine Bogan, who've been extremely participants in this and have really taken this little business to the next level. So I'd like them to come forward to introduce their students and tell us about their projects.
Thank you, Kim and Keith, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce some of the students that you met this evening from the Wake Up Call. We have Mercedes, April, Justin, Owen, and James. In the fall of 2022, as Mrs. Harbinson said, she asked us to join the entrepreneurial pilot project. We jumped at this opportunity as we were able to expand our already existing business and work with the business class BDI 3C within our school and grow our business.
The Wake Up Call is a coffee cart business that currently runs every Tuesday and Thursday mornings to the staff of SDSS. A warm beverage and a treat is delivered to the staff by our students. Throughout this time, the students have gained valuable job skills and work experience. 3 of our students here are actually entering into a co-op or work experience program throughout the year. Owen will be gaining work experience at Alden Lodge in Port Elgin. Mercedes is working with a local elementary school, and April will be heading to work at a campground in 2nd semester. If it wasn't for the entrepreneurial grant and experience, the pilot project, we would not have been able to expand the business and gain the variety of skills. This year, we are currently looking at working 5 days a week, serving coffee to the staff while keeping our treats every Tuesdays and Thursdays. The relationship that the students have gained from working with their peers and interacting with the customers is invaluable.
So thank you very much for having us here tonight. We'd like to show a short video to give you a behind-the-scenes look at our business, and we hope you enjoy.
I'm not patient.
When Mrs. Hagan approached me and told me what the program was about, basically to give the class and the kids a more positive experience in high school, it was obvious that we had to be a part of it. We had to make sure they had jerseys, in their case hoodies, and we had to make sure they had everything they needed to make it a successful program.
The Wake Up Call is a student-driven business from the ground up, from developing the name, logo, and business logistics. We have created a business which provides a positive atmosphere in the school.
We deliver homemade snacks and a warm beverage to staff and visitors. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we each bring our own positive experience to our customers by sharing a smile, relationship with friendly greeting. Our business certainly brings a cup of motivation to every customer.
And we received incredible support from both our regional and our area managers. We need to say a big thanks to Brad Unraw and Glenn Unger and to Jeff Kelleher. When they heard about this program, the financial side was taken care of immediately. They realized the importance of making sure that these kids have a great experience.
We would also like to thank Sunlight Financial for their incredible contribution to our program. Our uniforms would not have been possible without them, and we can't thank them enough for their ongoing support.
Trustees have any questions or comments about this excellence in education? Trustee Atkinson?
Well, thank you very, very much. I had the opportunity to be at your school a year ago visiting Miss Paler. And I seen you in the hall delivering your goodies, but I didn't really understand what you were doing until now. And Owen, that smile is contagious. You keep smiling because I remember your bubbly personality when I visited, and I knew that it was going to be great tonight. And I must say, the dessert was lovely. and it was served with love. And those smiles, keep smiling, guys, and keep doing amazing work because you are amazing rock stars.
Any other questions or comments? I have a question. I'm wondering why wake up call? How was that decided upon?
We ended up starting this business just after COVID. We used to do a lot of jobs around the school, and it was difficult for us to get out into the school to be able to do things. So we asked if we would be able to make a program that we could ask adults within the building if they would participate in it. So it was Catherine that came up with the idea of doing a coffee cart to the staff in our school. And when we started it, the students did everything. So they came up with the title. They all submitted what they wanted the business to be. Wake Up Call was the unanimous vote that everyone thought it was a great way to start their day. And James is great, Owen, Mercedes, April, Justin, they always bring a smile to everyone's face when they serve. One of our students actually designed the logo. She's an incredible art student, and she designed the logo all on her own. And we were just able to computerize it and use it for all. We use it on our napkins this evening. We also have logos printed on our coffee sleeves, just like you would see at Tim Hortons or Starbucks. So we really made the business our own, and that's how we kind of came up with the startup of the business.
Trustee Long.
Bravo. You described you used the word business a number of times. Was there like budgeting in terms of knowing what funds were available and then deciding that the team, including students, determine how to disperse those funds for things to run successfully?
So when we first started, we based our coffee and treat at a break-even point for the staff. So I believe we started at $3 per week, per day if you wanted to buy in. Since then, we have increased our price according to inflation, maybe a little bit, and to make sure that we're still covering our costs. Any extra funding or funds that we do bring in goes back into developing the business more and being able to expand it. So this year, you'll notice that some of the shirts are a little bit different. We've been able to purchase t-shirts that we can now sell or give away to staff and other like promo type items for them. And the students were completely involved in all of the pricing and decision points.
Thank you.
I was sitting thinking there's probably a lineup for people to want to work at Saugeen so that they can have goodies delivered to them twice a week. Thank you very, very much. It was a real treat for us to have you serve us at supper time. You all did an excellent job and the food was delicious. Your program is great. Thank you. And thanks to your parents. I understand some of your parents are here and they'll be very proud of you and the work that you're doing. Thank you. It was moved by Trustee McComb and seconded by Trustee Long that Blue Water District School Board received the Excellence in Education Entrepreneurship Project Wake Up Call Saugeen District Senior School Report for Information. All in favor? Thank you, that is carried. We have no delegations this evening, so we're to reports. Committee of the Whole Board reports. The first is from the Committee of the Whole Board, and kind of unusually, there's no recommendations that came out of our Committee of the Whole meeting, but just to refresh your memory, there was the following reports were discussed. So Special Education Advisory Committee, Health and Safety Quarterly Report, Summer School and Summer Learning, Artificial Intelligence Technology, Summer Institute 2023, and Professional Activity Days 2023. So I will move that report. Could I have a seconder, please? Trustee Morgan. And that the Blue Water District School Board received the Committee of the Whole Board meeting Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, report for information. All in favor? Thank you, that is carried. The Business Committee of the Whole Board from September 5th, I'd like to invite Trustee Morgan to speak to this report. Could I have a mover and seconder? I'll do this in the right order. The Blue Water District School Board received a report for the Business Committee of the Whole Board meeting held on September 5th, 2023 for information. Could I have a mover? Trustee Morgan. And a seconder, Trustee Atkinson, and please go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'm not prepared to speak. Superintendent Cummings is speaking on my behalf. Thank you.
May need the assistance with the lack of my teaching voice. So in September 5th Business Committee meeting, we had the financial reporting schedule where we informed you the financial reports coming forward for the school year. Transportation update with the added notes for the school year. We also talked about the capital priorities program and the application for 2 new schools in the district with the deadline of October 20th. We talked about the additional portables that we put in for accommodation at a number of different schools in the area and how they're in place for the summer. We talked about the new Beavercrest Community School update where they're laying the foundation and currently placing in conduit and electrical and services. We also talked about the earlier capital priority update, St. Edmunds, and how that is progressing along, which is well. And the Egremont Community Child Care as well, which is now open with an opening this week. Thank you, that is all.
Thank you very much. It was moved by Trustee Morgan and seconded by Trustee Atkinson that the Blue Water District School Board received the report of the Business Committee of the Whole Board meeting held on September 5th, 2023 for information. All in favor? Thank you, that is carried. Their report from the Committee of the Whole Board in camera. There was no Committee of the Whole Board in camera held this evening. Are there any new notice of motions this evening? I see none. There are no committee establishments or appointments this evening. So we're to reports for information. And I would like to invite Student Trustee Ethan Enns to present the Student Senate report.
Hello. Trustees, Chair Thompson and Director Wilder. We're only halfway done our 3rd week, but school is in full swing. Most of our high schools ran orientation events welcoming grade 9 students. JDSS and WDCS ran club fairs to recruit grade 9s into extracurricular activities. Penn Shores had Frosh Week. Walkerton District and Georgian Bay Community Schools also had Welcome Week activities. A few schools are going to Stratford to see Frankenstein and Much Ado About Nothing. Terry Fox runs and fundraisers are upcoming in most schools. Sports are starting up as well. There was a golf tournament today. Basketball, baseball, football, rugby, volleyball, and cross country are also starting up in all of our schools. The Student Senate met for the first time 2 weeks ago. We got a tour of this building, we did some orientation activities and icebreakers. Today we discussed some focuses for this school year. Discussion is ongoing, but inclusivity has come to the forefront. Thank you.
Thank you. Do trustees have any questions for Trustee Evans? I see none. Thank you very much. To our staff reports. I'd like to invite Director Wilder to speak to the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act 2023 Student Achievement Plan. First, we'll put the motion on the floor that the Blue Water District School Board receive the summer transition support payment. The Blue Water District School Board received the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act 2023 report for information. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Morgan, seconded by Trustee Long and Welcome.
Thank you very much. Trustees have had an opportunity to see this Outcomes Act because we did send it to you in the summer because it arrived to us, I think it was July 28th, close to 5 p.m. And so we sent it out to trustees so that they had the information in front of them, but we thought it important to bring forward a report tonight to be able to highlight some of the aspects of the new act that's brought forward. So the ministry has identified some priorities that you will see listed there on the report, but I will take time to highlight what their priorities are. Achievement of learning outcomes and core academic skills. Second one is preparations of students for future success. And the third priority is student engagement and well-being. So the ministry, for that first section, this is around the student achievement section, you will see in the report though that there are other parts of the act that they've also revised or implemented, and they really, most of them come under a policy program memorandum, which we've listed in the report and given the numbers that align with the changes that have been made. But I'm going to focus a bit now on the student achievement regulation that has been passed. With that, the ministry, and attached in your package, the ministry has outlined a student achievement plan, and they are using the acronym SAP, so we're going to align that as well. Boards of education have a responsibility now to, with the student achievement plan, there are 11 indicators. And so boards have a responsibility to publicly report on these 11 indicators. And I must say though, a lot of the indicators we've already been uploading for the past few years to it's a provincial data collecting service called ONSIS is the acronym. So a lot of this has been fed to the ministry before, but now it's going to be publicized on our website and through school councils probably. I just want to highlight that the 11 indicators, so the number one indicator there under achievement of learning outcomes, it's based a lot on the EQAO data that we have. So number one is our grade 3 and 6 reading and writing EQAO data. Number two is percentage of fully participating first-time eligible students writing the OSSLT and how they do on that. And then the third one in there, this is around math. So it will be the those who exceed or the provincial standard on grade 3 and grade 6 math. So that's what the government has determined is important, and we would agree. We've been working hard on that with our students as well. The second priority there around preparing our students for future success, it's interesting there. We've talked about number 4. There's a phrase that we've been using for quite a few years called 16 by 16. And just that means by 16 years of age, students would have 16 credits. So they're wanting to know the percentage of students who've done this by the end of grade 10. Number 5, percentage of students participating in at least one job skills program. This is one area that we are very successful in because we have a high amount of our students enrolled in Specialist High Skills Major program, dual credit, our Ontario Youth Apprenticeship. I know that previously you've had reports on our OYAP program, and provincially we score really well in terms of the number of students that do that. One of the questions that directors had in that, they don't list co-op as an example. So we think co-op is very much about future job skills, so I think that was taken back to the ministry, so that will probably show up as one of the areas that would be accepted for future job skills. 6 is around a grad rate, so those number of students graduating with their OSSD within 5 years. This number 7 is fairly new. Percentage of students enrolled in at least one grade 12 math or grade 11 or 12 science course. And then the last one, this one is definitely brand new. It's percentage of students who believe their learning has prepared them for the next step in their learning experience. The ministry has told us that they're coming forward with a measurement kind of tool, a tool to help guide boards on how to do this. So we haven't received that yet, but they say that it's coming. It's because we're unsure the grade levels that we would ask that, the questions you would ask to determine that, the time of year you would ask, because it's not easy for students to determine if their learning from last year has actually supported them at certain stages. So we'll see how that one goes. That's number 8 is completely brand new. And then moving down to student engagement and well-being, number 9 is around attendance rates. We know that attendance is greatly linked with the success of students, so they want to know, they're looking at grades 1 to 8 for that indicator, and they want to know those whose attendance is equal or greater than 90%. The 10th indicator is the suspension rate, so percentage of students in grades 4 to 12 who were suspended at least once. And then the last one as well, it's a new one, and it is percentage of grade 6, 9, and 10 students who report being aware of mental health supports. So we will hopefully with the ministry tool be able to determine how to assess that with the questioning that we ask. So that's a very thorough plan. We've been talking to the senior team and with our principals in terms of how we can then implement that at the school level and introduce a school achievement plan. Last year, our principals were working on, at the time it's called School Improvement Plan, but the ministry has changed that terminology. So we want to make sure the principals don't lose the work and the preparation that they've done with their staff already, so that we can hopefully align what's the expectations here now are with the ministry. Continuing on though with the act that was passed, I just wanted to highlight some other aspects of this. Reading instruction and early reading screening is a big focus of the government and the ministry. So there is a PPM 168 that you can go onto the ministry site and read any of those that you might choose to, but it's talking about requirements regarding reading instruction as well as the early reading screening options. You've had an opportunity to hear about our reading programs here. We do the science of reading. It's very much evidence-based. So we have been aligning with that quite a bit, so we feel very confident in that aspect there. Dyslexia Canada and International Dyslexia Association has also received a lot of money to support and develop evidence-based resources for boards and professional learning support. So that will be a great support that will be provided to boards as well. Student mental health has been a focus for quite some time with the ministry and with us here in Blue Water. So I've outlined some requirements around student mental health that are listed there in the report, just so we have to make sure we deliver mental health learning and services across our schools, which we do. Something that's not on the report though, grades 7 and 8s now will have some learning materials provided for them to help them prepare a mental health toolkit, they call it. So there's a focus at that level, grades 7 and 8. So a lot of good work there. Community involvement grad requirements have always been there for quite some time. Now they've updated the PPM around that. So students, they're going to continue to encourage to develop awareness and understanding of civic responsibility. So they haven't changed how many hours that the students need, although I know, and I think we've allowed this for some time, but those students in the summer of grade 8 to 9 can collect hours towards their, now to the grad requirement. Just continuing on to the back part of that report, the prior learning assessment and recognition for mature students, we call it FLAR. We have been doing a lot of work, successful work in this regard. We've had a lot of mature students come back and achieve their credits. Some of you have the opportunity to go to the graduation, the other grad. It's just a phenomenal experience. So they've, and along with that, what they're helping students do is enter the skilled trades faster. There was a lot of media release on that happened probably last spring. So it's going to make the amendments are going to make it easier for students who have not graduated from secondary school to obtain recognition credits towards their OSSD. For PA days or professional activity days, we have one coming up this Friday. So now the government is requiring, the ministry is requiring boards to publicly post what they're going to be doing. So there's more detail that will be posted on the PA day. So if you look on our website, you will see what's coming up this Friday on our PA day. Locations and often the presenter name and the topic that's being discussed. And we just have a couple more there, an updated transitional certificate regulation. This, I think, is partly to do with the shortage of teachers that we're experiencing across the province. So with that, certificates will enable students enrolled in regular full-time teacher education programs to work in publicly funded schools while completing their studies. So that's a benefit to us as a board, but also to the students who can be making some money while they're going to teachers college. And lastly, the ministry also has done a lot of work in additional qualification, also known as AQ courses on Holocaust education and countering anti-Semitism. So there's been a lot of work done in that regard for teachers to support their instructional practices. And they also, into the curriculum, they revised the grade 6 social studies curriculum that has a component dedicated to Holocaust education. So a lot of changes that have been introduced, although I would say we here in Blue Water have done significant work already in regards to the requirements. And I'll turn it back to Chair Thompson.
Trustees have any questions or comments regarding this report? Trustee Long.
Through the chair, some wonderful info and data will be provided under that student achievement plan. I was intrigued by the percentage of students graduating with an OSSD. Hard data that sometimes we don't see beyond percentages that reach certain reading and writing or math standards or goals. And then and just that last thing, well, I understand that under the updated transitional certificate regulation, people working at their BEd will be supported in working in schools directly.
That is, through the chair, that is correct, yes.
And through the chair, even as an OT, for example.
Yes.
Well, that's a blessing. That's a huge blessing to get more qualified people, or soon to be entirely qualified people involved in the profession. Wonderful. Thanks.
Trustee Craig?
I, too, was most intrigued by the student achievement plan, the 3 sections of questions and issues. Yes, I should put this on, sorry.
Jared?
My apology.
And my general question about it is our board able to provide us with the numerous achievement percentages that are specified in the SAP? So what we have there in that, as you can see, as we know, is many points, 11 in total, pertaining to literacy and learning, graduation rates, etc. So basically, if you were able to answer every one of those questions in a percentage term, we would have a sense of where our board is at and how close are we to being able to answer those in percentage terms.
Through the chair, a lot of the data has already been provided through the ministry data reporting tool called ANSYS. So we are very prepared, except for the 2 I had highlighted. I think it was number 8 and number 11. We're waiting for more guidance on that from the ministry as how they want us to collect that information. They have told us that they are preparing for all of this a bit of a toolkit, a guide, if you will, for boards in terms of how to gather that specific or survey the students for that specific information.
If I can just follow up then. So you're saying then that with regard to number 1, percentage of students who meet or exceed the provincial standard, and all the rest, that you're able to provide us with the percentages that will tell us where we're at.
Yes, through the chair, yes.
I'm delighted to have that in a simple form, such as this student achievement plan provides. They ask the simple questions. I'd love to have the simple percentages that amount to the answer.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Particularly items 8 and 11 on the student achievement plan through the chair. Wonderful to see that we're soliciting student input, asking students if they feel prepared for the next level of learning. And item 11, do they feel that they be made aware of mental health supports and services. And noting our new dynamic young team of trustees and senators letting us remember around this table to seek more input from our youngest members. They may be able to give us inputs that we didn't imagine would be might be needing to be recognized as more important. So I look forward to being a lot more dialogue at all meetings, particularly from our youngest members, and lovely to hear the reports, but also eager to get some real live input and ideas and on what we discuss and what we decide around. Thank you.
Rochelle, go ahead.
So I just have a quick question just about where this information is going to be gathered from. There's programs outside of the classes that are going on in the high schools. So are students going to be asked that are participating in programs to get their work done outside of the school setting? Are they going to be interviewed? Do you know that? I know it's probably a vague question, but.
So through the chair, if they are connected with Blue Water, but are doing an alternate type of program, that data would be there. If they aren't connected with Blue Water District School Board, I don't know that we would, the expectation would be that we gather that data.
Okay, thank you.
If I may ask a question, in number 7, the percentage of students enrolled in at least one grade 12 math or grade 11 and 12, I'm assuming, and maybe the terminology is wrong, that those are academic students. Is that percentage telling us how many students are enrolled in that pathway, or is it, like, how will that information be used, or what will it tell us?
Through the chair, I would suggest it wouldn't be based generally on university-bound or college-bound students or work-bound students. It would, my understanding from that is it would be just, and it's determined as a grade 12 math and or grade 11 or 12 science at all levels.
My other question with respect to the teachers, I think it's great that we'll have the young teachers in our school and that they'll be able to help us with the teaching. What worries me a tiny bit is who provides them with the supervision, the learning that they would have had they been in a traditional setting where they were being mentored by a teacher and taking that opportunity to see the classroom management and learning from someone more experienced. How will that be handled?
So in response to that, we actually during COVID, they did allow this to happen as well. So there is responsibility overall. The principal would oversee and ensure that there's supervision of that staff person. And they would be, depending on the role, they would be included in any type of professional learning that would be offered to permanent teachers. So there still is that availability, and I'm sure in schools, I see it all the time, teachers mentor one another as well, and if there would be somebody in that situation, I'm sure that there would be a lot of support provided to them in that role.
Thank you. I would just hate for the students to miss out on the opportunity to have that additional learning. I mean, they'll get different learning, of course, in the responsibility that they'll have. But any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for the report. Did you go ahead?
Yes. A more general question, I guess. What is your perspective on this? Do you feel it is an imposition from the ministry and from the government around student achievement, that we're being forced to provide more and more and more information? Or do you feel that it's appropriate refocusing of our efforts? What is your personal view?
Through the chair, it is welcome. We've been gathering this anyway. I think it's great when we can provide data. I would say though that every board and even every individual school in boards have a different context, different demographic of students. Sometimes that's not represented. So is there more context that we could bring to this achievement plan? The ministry has said if boards want to add some more indicators, they could choose to do that. So directors are talking about that and what that might look like. Is it important to just keep it consistent across the province and go with the 11, or do we add some more? For example, I'm thinking about the breakfast program report that trustees had and how we in Blue Water provide breakfast in 100%, like a breakfast program, 100% of our schools. I mean, that's a good data point, I think, around supporting children who might be living in poverty, for example. So we welcome this. We'll embrace this. We'll work hard to meet these goals and see a wonderful trend. That's part of it too, though. We find with a lot of data, it's not just one-year data that we should be looking at. Trend data is really important. And that this report doesn't capture that the way that boards would like to see that captured. So perhaps that's something we would bring separately to show the trends of how we are doing in certain areas.
Trustee Lutz, did you have a question? I meant to ask you before, not to put you on the spot. Thank you. So it was moved by Trustee Morgan and seconded by Trustee Long that the Blue Water District School Board receive the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act 2023 Student Achievement Plan for information. All in favor? Thank you, that is carried. Our next report is the Summer Transition Support for Students with Special Needs. I'd like to invite Superintendent up and sit. And I'd be looking for a mover and a seconder that the Blue Water District School Board receive the Summer Transition Support for Students with Special Education Needs report for information. Trustee Long and Trustee Atkinson, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. So you have a report in front of you that summarizes some of the summer work that was done to help support students with special education needs transition back to school this fall. And the funding to help support this program does come through the Ministry of Education. So we are fortunate to receive funds to do this work. When we know what funding we receive in the spring, we do put a call out to our schools to say how might they be able to use this funding, and then we work with our schools to see what that might look like. So this year we had 39 of our schools reach out and want to access this funding. We served and supported and worked with approximately 627 students across the district in this work. And a lot of this work is done the last 2 weeks in August leading up to that first day of school. So things that schools planned were sometimes one-on-one visits for students to come to a school, take a tour, find their locker, for example, or their hook, their classroom, and just feel really comfortable on the first day. Where do I go? Who should I meet? Where am I going to hang my backpack? Where am I going to put my things? That kind of thing. Some of our schools also accessed some funding to host more of a group event where there was drop-in times for students to come and in a small group participate in transition activities, welcome back activities, ask questions about their timetable, for example, so they felt really confident about their classes and where they were going on the first day. We also had some students in our junior kindergarten, for example, our wee ones coming in, come to school and get to go into a classroom or access the playground equipment so they could get a sense of what does this look like, and it helps parents and guardians understand what that sort of drop-off is like and what the pickup at the end of the day looks like, so we could go over some of those safety concerns. We had transition planning as well that happened for students and looking at particular individual plans that some students might require to be successful at school. So those could be reviewed as well. There was also some training opportunities for staff that they could participate in to be able to support students. And I just wanted to highlight a couple quotes that we did, or stories that came in from schools, just to give you a sense. So for example, Owen Sound District, they hosted some grade 9 events, so if students were feeling a little anxious about coming into grade 9 and what would that look like. They had open houses and tours and also individual times to meet with teachers and ask questions to find out where their class was and get their locker and their timetable. At Spruce Ridge, the principal just reached out to say the students and families really appreciated the opportunity to be able to come into the school before Labor Day to meet staff and have a tour. At Huron Heights, there was one student coming for a transition who was very nervous and a little bit anxious, but arrived and greeted his homeroom teacher, as well as there was another teacher there to support, with a big smile, and said, "I missed you." And I'm so excited to be starting back to school. So I just wanted to share those couple highlights, but of course, as I mentioned, across the district, we had 39 schools participating. So we want to thank our staff that did the work to support welcoming students and families into the school to make that hopefully seamless transition for our students. And that's my report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees, have any questions or comments with respect to this report? Trustee Craig.
How many students participated at the elementary and secondary levels? And what percentage did this represent of the total number of students who would be coming in in September?
Through the chair, thanks for the question. I don't have a breakdown of elementary versus secondary. We had 627 students with special education needs supported through this program, as well as some of the open houses were open as well to all students to come for tours and things like that. So I don't have a capture of the full number, but 627 students were directly supported.
Okay, and follow up related. What about the majority? Doesn't sound like much of a majority, really, who did not participate. Was there, or is there, an effort made at the school level to corral them and try to help them to make the transition?
Oh, absolutely. Schools do all kinds of work, particularly on that first day of school. There's things like welcome assemblies, announcements, obviously. Staff are very good to be present in hallways, out on playgrounds. Sometimes even parent volunteers. I know, because I have an elementary background, when you have JKs and SKs coming in for the first time, often parents and guardians are very good to help volunteer, and teachers and ECEs, EAs are willing to help to be visible and direct, where do you need to go, which door are we using, all those kinds of things. But in our secondary schools, the staff is excellent. Guidance staff, your student success staff, they're there, they're visible, and they're hosting often welcome assemblies. So there might be a grade 9 assembly, or at the junior assembly, and then a senior secondary assembly, for example.
Good, very encouraging, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Long.
Through the chair, would most of the participants have IEPs, or is there also a significant number of students that felt a need and asked for support?
Many would have individual education plans or IEPs. Other students that don't have those plans potentially were part of the larger groups, or in some cases still had access to this service. We know that some of our students in younger grades, for example, don't have identifications, right? But they need that support, and they have some anxiety around coming to school. We would still work to support those students.
Any other questions or comments? I see none. Thank you so much for the report.
Thank you.
It was moved by trustee Long, seconded by trustee Atkinson, that the Blue Water District School Board receive the summer transition support for students with special education needs report for information on paper. Thank you, that is carried. Communications and correspondence, as we talked about it a few minutes ago, you received the memorandum from the Minister of Education, Stephen Lecce, regarding better schools and student outcomes, received royal assent, and the memorandum from Stephen Lecce regarding implementation of priority reforms to support the Better Schools and Student Outcomes Act. Also for your information, on behalf of the trustees, I've co-signed a letter with Director Wilder to the United Way, a thank you note, thanking them for the backpack program, which benefited so many of our students. So just so you know, if you're thanked for that, that's why. Are there any announcements this evening? Trustee Good.
So there's no correspondence at all today for the trustee? Just checking.
There was an envelope delivered for each trustee, and you'll be given your envelope after the meeting. Is there any announcements? Trustee Atkinson?
It's not an announcement, it's a little story. We're 2 weeks back, and I'm back in the classrooms, and I met a new little friend on Friday, and I was walking down the hall, and he's in JK. So I said, good morning, and he said, well, good morning to you. And I thought, oh, okay. He said, who are you? So I told him who I was, and he proceeded, I've been looking for you for ages. Okay, sweetie, but what would you like? He said, well, where is your room in this house? And I thought, so he was referring to the school as this big house. So I said, my room is downstairs in the gym. Well, you know, you're supposed to be in there. We're not supposed to be in the halls. And I said, well, I'm on my way. But anyway, he said, why I need to talk to you is I don't like apples, I don't like oranges, and I don't like bananas. I said, well, what do you like? He said, I like granola bars, grapes, tomatoes, and cucumbers. He said, I would like to see those in Miss Henry's bin tomorrow. Okay, I'll do my best. So yesterday rolled around, and I didn't have all of his requests, but he found me, pulled on my sweater, and he says, Mrs. A, you can do better. So I said, well, once our school delivery gets up and going, I will do much, much better. But I said, I have 360 kiddos that I have to feed every morning. So it's a little bit sparse on what we're going to have till then. And he said, okay, but you know, we do have a timeout chair in our classroom. And you will have to sit on it. Okay, we're going to see where you go when you're in grade 8. But my journey has begun, and it's just a barrel of laughs. But he finds me, and I see him at Walmart on Sunday, actually. And he said to his mom, that's the lady that's going to get my stuff. She was so embarrassed. I said, don't be. There's no sense giving him something he's got to eat. But anyway, it was they're back at it. My life is never a dull moment when I'm at school. But anyway, if you get a chance, guys, go and check out your breakfast programs because they are awesome. They need your help. Oh, they need your help. So if you have an hour to spare, I challenge you to take me up on it. You won't be disappointed.
Trustee Johnston.
So this has to do with OSPA. So you would have received from that, I sent the minutes for program. I was thinking about you. So just to let you know about the draft minutes, is that they're not approved in actual fact until they go to the board of directors on Friday, Saturday of this coming weekend. So, you know, and that's why it says draft, and I know in OPSA, we've had, conversations about this, and like, do you share it before, do you share it after? But anyway, it says draft on it, so, if you have any questions concerning it's a joint meeting, then I'm quite willing to answer to the best of my ability. I just also wanted to remind trustees, you would have received from Stephanie, who is basically the executive of OSPA, about the good governance workshops that they're offering. And that speaker or the person who's presenting, her name is Marianne Thompson-Howell. She was really, really well received at the AGM, and that's why they're kind of doing a lunch and learn, 12-1 and broken into 3. And if the next one is October 18th, and then there's another one after that too. I'm just looking, November 22nd. Anyway, it's a really good opportunity. It's all by basically Zoom or Teams or whatever, and even if you don't even want to talk, or you come in, you have to register, let them know you want to join so that they can accept you into the online room. Anyway, so that was just what I wanted to let you know.
Great.
Trustee Johnson, I'm just wondering, is congratulations in order here because you have become the chair of the regional OPSPA grouping. So I do extend my congratulations on your hard work. I'm going to get up here.
Yeah, I was elected the chair for the program work team, so that's actually for the whole province. And I am the vice chair for the region, but I'm actually going to be attending the executive meeting this coming Friday because Arlene is not going to be in attendance.
Can you clarify with the lunch and learns, is it the same speaker spread over 3 sessions?
That's absolutely true. So they'll have, I think I put it up, let me see, I have it here, my little note. I just took it down, but if you received an email from Stephanie, and she put in there the 3 different, Donaldson, the 3 different ones. One was just this past week, but the other 2, what the topics are. So anyway, she was well received, in terms of board governance.
One is actually tomorrow. And the room that she was in at the AGM was too small to accommodate the number of people that wanted to go. So there were many people that were there that weren't able to see her. So I'm going to join in tomorrow, but I didn't realize that it was spread over the 3 sessions. Trustee Kuiperman.
The National Citizens Inquiry has released a section of their interim report. This part is the COVID-19 vaccine authorization process, and I will be distributing it to the trustees and superintendents after this meeting.
Any other announcements? Trustee Craig?
This is not an announcement, this is a question. Had we gone past correspondence? Because I wanted to ask a question pertaining to should be GSN insufficiencies, I believe, the letter from Thames Valley. This is correspondence sent to trustees, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were considering me to be in order here. Okay, well, very, very interesting letter from Thames Valley District School Board. They are a school board which, like ours, has had significant increase of enrollments over the past decade or so. We're a growth board. But unlike us, they are identifying an extraordinary number of areas where they find GSN to be inadequate. You can see in that letter, it's 3 pages, replacement staff for absences, temporary student accommodations, educational assistant wages, special education funding, etc. So my question to staff is, how can they be so extraordinarily dissatisfied with the GSN while we, being so good at managing our pennies, don't have a problem? What's the difference between these two boards and their perspective on the funding that's provided by the province? Sure. Rather large question, actually.
Through the chair, thank you for the question. It's a great question. I'm going to start off by first by saying, no idea what Thames Valley is thinking about, right? We're not in their accounting shoes. We don't experience the same business cycles or issues that they may be experiencing in the areas in London, okay? Although we all comply with a set of accounting standards, everyone's business is different. So we don't know what their board may have authorized years ago that got them into trouble that would deem such a letter necessary. We actually couldn't even tell you if they are in dire straits. Honestly, through the chair, there's probably about 2 or 3 areas I'd like to write letters and say, yeah, we could use more. Give you an example with temporary accommodation. It's a lagging funding payment. So we put in 47 portables, we only get funded for 40, or whatever last year's count was. So there's a question of that. There's a question of the deferred capital contributions where they fund the buildings that you're putting up, and the lag time that that funding rolls to you is severe, right? And we would love to actually get that turned around too. So there's a lot of different areas out there that you could write about in terms of the GSN. I'm just not aware of their specific situation or the business over the last 15 years that got them there. But I can tell you that there's a lot of differences in different boards around the province.
Yes, if I can follow up, I can understand that for sure. Okay, follow-up practical question, I think is there any movement among the boards, sort of collectively, either through OPSPA or through other fora, to take the ministry and the government to task for lack of funding in various areas, special education at the top of my list? In other words, are we yelling loudly and long enough to make it clear that if we're going to run a school system that responds to all the needs of all the students, we need more money to do so? Are we doing that?
I'm just going to try to answer it from an OPSPA perspective. So last year, for example, when there was consultation concerning, education and budgeting, is that OPSPA presented to the committee in terms of our collective wants. Mm-hmm. So, and that was also where you had individual boards writing, submitting to the government of the day. And you were able to actually watch the OPSPA presentation online. So some of the things you're talking about, that definitely we do, they have to advocate, but as you are well aware, at the end of the day, it might not have any, but we got some things changed, especially around some of this legislation. There were some changes that were made, and they valued that particular input. So,
thank you.
And if I may just to follow up, I think we have to be careful as our own board to be very clear of what our need is, not to just say we support Thames Valley, because I think that doesn't do anything for our credibility as a board. If we know we have an issue, then that's where we need to tackle that issue, but not because of, maybe comparing apples and oranges.
Agreed.
Go ahead.
I can add one more piece to that, Chair Thompson, if you'd like. When our SBO friends get together, and I know that sounds like a punchline to some joke, but We had a great old time. But one of the things we're dealing with is, let's go take the example of transportation funding and how that was reformatted this year. We get into a room, 72 of us, 35 of us did better, 36 of us did worse, and a couple are the same. So while we want to support our fellow school boards and district school boards because they lost, it will come at our cost possibly because it's a zero-sum game that they're playing with us. So we have to be a little bit careful there in terms of how we state our support for each other.
Are there any out-of-district meetings, conferences, or conventions to share? Trustee Johnson?
Yes, I know that everybody would have received an email from TJ Gertz, and it was concerning the upcoming regional joint meeting that, so it's with the Central West and Western, which is us. We often do that once a year, and the reason why is that we do a joint kind of training, so it'll be some of the modules from the training, and as you know, that some of the legislation has about trustees doing training, so it's an opportunity to do that, and as it gets closer in November, we'll let you know what those training modules are, but it's it's being sponsored by the Waterloo District School Board, and it's going to be in Kitchener. And it goes like from 9 till 3 o'clock, and they provide lunch.
Anybody else? The trustee calendar of events has been provided to you for your information. I just draw to your attention, there's a change in the date for the Indigenous Education Advisory Committee. Instead of the 12th, that's on the 19th. And if you notice any errors, please let us know, let them know. And with that, I would like to move that the Blue Water District School Board adjourn at 8:18. Trustee Long, seconded by Trustee Atkinson. Safe home, everyone.